Good evening, guys. Suffolk Hobbit, and here's part 2 of my Death Roller sort of progress report. Yeah, it's done, and it is a brilliant model. Had no faults putting it together. Really good molds. The detail on it's absolutely brilliant. You know, anyone and everyone who buys these things are going to really enjoy building it, painting it, because it's just such a cool model. And even if you don't play Blood Bowl, to be quite honest, it's just a cool model to have. Really, I'd recommend people buying it just for the sake of buying it. I do have a plan of trying to use it in Kings of War actually as a ironclad, which is a real like heavy duty sort of single model miniature sort of like warrior, whatever the hell we want it to be. Really, I think this will suit its purpose quite nicely in that game. So there's many different uses for it. I'd recommend for those that do build it, really clean it, because I gave it the usual soapy wash, which Forge World always recommends for sort of all their models. But because there are a lot of nooks and crannies on this thing, it is very easy to miss a few bits, and I did find as I was assembling it that some bits were still had the residue of the whatever it is that they use to actually get the pieces out of the mould. So yeah, really clean it. But yeah, this is it finished. Let me just set the camera down. So really simple. I had actually built it in about 4 sub-assemblies. So we had the let's get my camera a bit better. So we had the focus, so these wheels, these were glued on to the central piece, and the back, the seat, you'll find the seat is actually built on a separate piece, and I've put the seat on as well. So you had the seat, the central engine part, and these 2 wheels on. This top canopy bit was separate, these 2 wheels here were separate, the actual sort of cutter, that was separate, and obviously these side bits. So about 5 or 6 sub-assemblies going on. Painted them all individually and then finished it off by gluing it all together and then putting the details and highlights on afterwards. I found that's the best way for it to work. Don't know if anyone else had any other ways of doing it. In some ways you could glue the whole thing together and just paint it as it is, but I guarantee you will lose some of the detail. Now granted, there's a lot of detail in these wheels. You might just see a bronze cog in there. Yeah, there's loads of them. There's loads of them painted up actually in both sides of those wheels. But you'll never see them again because it's all glued together, and it turns out to be rather pointless to even paint them with much detail. But me being me, I wanted to paint it all up because there'd be nothing worse than you put it together and you end up with a few bits missing. That'd just be awful. I hate that. I hate when you put a model together and you think, no, I can see something that's not painted. It's going to be impossible to reach it. Damn. So yeah, that's what I did. So yeah, that's that. The colours I used was obviously Aberdeen black undercoat as always. I used lead belcher, dry brushed lead belcher over all the metal bits that you can see. So underneath, just everywhere, dry brushed everywhere, all the little things. I then used my own wash, which is Aberdeen black mixed with a lot of water, to then go over all the cracks and crevices and whatnot to sort of bring out the colour. And then I mixed ceramite white with the lead belcher to make my own sort of shiny silver highlight, which is I wanted to be subtle because I wanted the metal to look quite dirty, quite greasy, quite oily. So it just gives it a subtle sheen, when you catch the light just right, which is exactly what I wanted. I then moved on to Mephiston red and Cantor blue for the colours. Now Cantor blue, it's only that little blue piece there, the rest is obviously red as you can see. Same colours as with my dwarf actual team themselves, obviously to tie in with the theme, obviously. And then used, what's the colour? I always think of the old names for these. Genner's gold for the main base of the actual gold, lots of gold painted on this thing. I wanted to make it look really cool, make it look like it's really pimped out, that they really cherish this, I used a Mornfane brown mixed with a lot of water for a wash, so you get a nice sort of shade, nice shadow. Almost with a dirty shadow, as if the oil sort of like leaked everywhere, or the lubricant of the machine has leaked onto the gold as well. So it gives it a bit of a dirty sort of in the cracks and shadows of the gold. And then highlighted it with a neat layer of Ulrich armour gold, just to really make it sort of pop. I made up my own sort of colour of like a sort of this copper bronze. You can see it just on the wheel there, and just along here as well. Where are we? Just there as well. Under the seat as well, on the actual sort of lawnmower cutting section, did it there as well. That's just to give it a different shade, different colour, and that was made using Montane brown mixed with Guinness Gold, 50-50 mix with a little splash of water just to help it spread a bit easier. Come out really nice in my opinion. I'm quite happy with it. I haven't highlighted it because I didn't see a lot of point, to be honest. A lot of metallic paints, they naturally shine, they naturally catch the light, so there's not a lot of point in spending a lot of time actually highlighting, but I do give a little simple basic highlight. And then finally, just all the details inside the cockpit or cabin or whatever, the driver's seat. I indulged myself. I know this is sort of fancy time, so they probably didn't have neat white-backed gauges and vials and readings, but I just thought I'd go for it. Why not? A bit of steampunk. So it's got a white background, little red dots, little red pointers for all the little, you know, nooks and crannies and all the little details and stuff. A few bits of like bronze wire and copper sort of stuff going on there. These two little lines here, these little gaps. Where's my finger? There it is. These two little gaps either side here. That's obviously where the handlebars are going to go. I haven't painted the handlebars yet. They're the last thing to go on. But otherwise, that is the Death Roller done. Yeah, really good. Last tidbit, I recommend dry fitting it. Just dry fit it, just to give it a quick run through. Make sure it's all flush, make sure it's all good. Also, this piece here, which sits on top of the engine, underneath that is actually quite a nice, very simple but nicely detailed engine. But obviously I've glued mine down. I was sort of torn with the idea of maybe actually painting it and just having it so the top could come on and off to represent damage or I don't know, something, but there's a chance this could get lost or damaged, and you know, but it seems a shame and maybe a bit pointless that they've done such a nice bit of detail for an engine, because it's not really going to get used or seen much. But I suppose it does depend on the modeler. You can make it so it's loose and just comes on and off, there's no harm in that, but I wanted it to be a bit more permanent and safe. So yeah, so sort of the parting advice I'd give there. It's just sort of up to you what you fancy doing with it, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Next up, we'll be getting on with the actual driver. He's just so cool, really cool. He's this character, you know, whoever designed him, got a brilliant bit of humour. Goblin, his arm's been glued on, and his head is ready to be, you know, taken off and glued on as well. So he's the last part. Next up is the dwarf. So yeah, I'll spend about 5-6 hours painting this. But thanks for watching, guys. As always appreciated. Always kind of you to come watching the sort of, you know, usual time to watch my inane ramblings and model hobby geekiness. But thanks a lot. Any comments, any sort of advice, any tips, any sort of chats or anything on BloodBowl in general, do let me know. Always give me, you know, some ideas or anything if you want to see any videos in particular. And part 3, which will be the dwarf being built and painted up, will be coming hopefully in the next week or so. So take care, guys, and as always, enjoy your time. Take care. Bye now.